Welcome to our online discipleship. This is week 1 of Grown Up Faith. Sunday I gave the message, and it really was just an overview of where we're going to be going. So if you haven't had a chance to watch the message from Sunday, please do so. It will really help you go more in depth and understanding of the truths that we will be unpacking for the rest of the month. This is really going to be a how-to type of sermon series. So how do we grow up in our faith is really what we're after. To start off your group today, I want you just to go around and share a story. What was something that happened to you as a kid where maybe mom or dad said, you need to grow up? Don't take too much time with this question, but have some fun with it and get to know each other. And hey, it is okay to laugh. Leaders, press pause at this time. Let's just be honest. Putting your faith in Jesus was probably the easiest part of your spiritual journey. Too many times we've made accepting Christ not only the starting point, but also the finish line. There is so much more that goes into being a follower of Jesus Christ. On Sunday, I talked about how there are 3 kinds of growth. There's easy growth, there's hard growth, and there is expensive growth. Now, the easy part, like I said, is us probably accepting Jesus. The hard part is learning how to walk that out on a daily basis. The expensive part probably comes in terms of what it's going to cost you to follow Jesus. It doesn't come free. It will come at a price. We will have to sacrifice something. In Luke 14, Jesus actually warns us about this when it comes to building our spiritual house. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, "This person began to build and wasn't able to finish." I think Jesus is warning us about these get slim quick diet plans. Yeah, I'm talking about those that me and you buy and think that if we just tweak a couple things that we're going to lose a ton of weight. We love to think that we're going to get $100 returns on $5 investments. And the same is true in our spiritual lives. We think that we can put in minimal effort and get the maximum return. Are you done with the fads yet? Are you ready to really grow in your relationship with Jesus? Well, that's what we're going to be practically talking about and working through over the next month. But on Sunday, I gave you 3 things you need to do in order to start building your spiritual house. The first thing that we have to do is start with the end in mind. Think about, what do you want this house to look like? And I think we already know the answer to that. When you start with the end in mind, just like building a house, I know what I want my house to look like. I want to know how tall I want it. I want to know how big I want it. I want to know how many rooms, how many bathrooms. And in doing so, you know how to start with the foundation, because however big you want it is how big of a foundation you have to lay. Now, think about that spiritually. Start with the end in mind. The end is to be completely transformed into having a heart and a mind like Jesus. He is the perfect example of that. So we're starting being focused on Jesus. He is who we are keeping our eyes on. The second thing that we have to do is we have to stop trying and start training. Now, I'm going to have a whole sermon dedicated to this point in a couple of weeks. But the principle I want you to take away is that many of us, especially going back to the diet fad analogy, is that we think we can tweak or eradicate just a couple of things in our life, and then spiritually everything will be okay. So if I just do a little couple of tweaks, I change my diet a little bit, I can stop drinking soda and literally in a week lose 5 pounds. Does that really help me long term? In the short term, yes, but in the long term, it really doesn't. It won't ever help me reach my goals, and it won't really help me build a solid exercise program and lifestyle that I really want to have. So we have to stop trying these little fads that we're trying to do spiritually in our lives just to get, this quick fix maybe with Jesus. So we're going to learn to stop trying and start training. We'll get to how to do the training part in a couple of weeks. And the third point is to start with the foundation. Now, I'm referring back to number 1. When we know how big we want it, we also know that we have to start with the proper foundation. It has to be strong enough, and it has to be big enough. And I'm here to tell you, spiritually, there's only one place to start, and that is with Jesus. So the question now remains, how do I do that? How do I transform my heart and my mind? How do I become more like Jesus? And that's what we call the transformed life. How do we transform into the image of Christ? Well, I think there's 3 areas that we have to be fully surrendered in to be like him. It's in the mind, it's in the heart, and it's in the will. When we learn to surrender each of those fully to Jesus, we become like him. In fact, I'll go on to say that we now have attained a grown-up kind of faith. Because we all have presuppositions, each one of us will have to be careful not to value one of these 3 over the other. For instance, if you value the mind and learning and knowledge over the heart and the will, you'll probably fall into intellectualism. If you value the heart more than the mind and the will, you'll fall into emotionalism. You will be controlled by your feelings, and how things will go will dictate your emotions, and those things will rule your heart and your life. And then, if you value the will over the mind and the heart, well, then you risk legalism. You will think that I can earn it, and if I just have the willpower, that I can overcome. So each one of these 3 has a downfall, or it has a pit that you can fall into. But when you do these things all well and surrender them all to Jesus, well then, now we have a transformed heart and mind that is like Christ. So this week's all about personal inventory. Each one of us is going to have a different journey. Each one of us are struggling in a different area. So you have to be open to the Holy Spirit and ask him, where am I holding back? Which one am I maybe overvaluing? And which one am I undervaluing? So ask him, ask the Holy Spirit, where do I need to grow up? Where do I need to put away childish things? 1 Corinthians 13:11 says, when I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. It's time to put these childish ways behind us and really learn to grow up in our faith. We're going to go into detail later on in our sermon series. We are so glad that you chose to join us. I pray that you keep going deeper with Jesus and remember to do some personal inventory this week. Please click below in the comment section and you will find group questions to go through. There also is some homework to do, maybe going deeper by yourself. So please make sure that you check that out. Join us on Sunday for week 2 of Grown Up Faith. May God's face continue to shine upon you, and may we forever be changed by knowing more and becoming more like Jesus. We'll see you again next week.